All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. This is our first gathering and episode of Healing from the Heart, which may be forenamed something else later. All right, so let's just get right into it. So what we have here today is 4 practitioners of natural medicine. We all work in different ways with energy, and we help people heal from the inside out on a deep level. So we want to talk about that because I think we've all been through these experiences of being in situations where there's a lot of medicine out there that is not helping people heal. And so all of us have a mission to bring true healing to people. And so here we are gathered today to talk about that. All right, so I'll start. My name is Charlie. We're going to do just a brief 2-sentence intro. I'm an acupuncturist with Aloha Acupuncture, currently in St. Petersburg, Florida.
You have to tell us who's next.
Heidi. We'll go in a circle.
I am Dr. Heidi Walrath, and I am an energy-based chiropractor, intuit, and certified high-performance coach. And I am currently practicing on the ether, internet, and in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Beautiful.
So do you have the same circle as me? Does that make me next or?
Yes.
Okay.
We should all the same circle, yeah.
We don't.
Well, you're third and then Heidi, and then it would go to the front for me. So I don't know what it looks like on yours. So anyway, I'm Dr. Lauren Pichard. I'm an energy psychologist. My company is Ascension Psychology. And so I have the Ascension Psychology method, but I also integrate other healings. And just really quick, one of the things I was reading last night was Paramhansa Yogananda's healing affirmations. And all of the techniques, according to him, which to me I think is true, all the techniques that we use is so that life force energy goes back in to heal. So as long as we're removing the blocks that the life force energy can go in, healing is achieved. And so that's what I've been working on recently. Anyway, you're up, Patricia.
All right, cool. I am Patricia Keeler, and I'm a somatic therapist and a teacher of A Course in Miracles and Nonviolent Communication. And I am happy to be here because connecting with others is often, I don't know, very challenging for me. Sensitivity is my superpower and love is my way. And my business is called Empowered Sensitivity. So it's been a long journey to really harness the sensitivity and really know the gift of it. And I'm just really, really honored and happy to be here with these gentle hearts that I really trust, who also have tremendous knowledge and experience with healing.
Awesome. Great intros, everybody. All right, so we'll do a little bit of a couple icebreaker questions before we get into some meat. So the first question is going to be, what inspires you to do your work? Why do you do your work? And I'll start. So what inspires me to do my work is I hate seeing people suffer. And I feel like I want to be like the Robin Hood of natural medicine, in that I feel that the power to heal has been taken away from people, and that the power to heal is everywhere. It's in nature, it's in us, it's in earth, and it's all around us. And so I want to try to help people come back to the belief that they can heal, and also have some of the knowledge to heal instead of having to seek outside for their healing. That's what. Miss Heidi.
Well, I would say that my first love of doing this is so that I can be on a planet amongst amazing people and have more people to play with. Secondly, is that I see the potential in people, and I see the bigness that people can be, and my heart gets excited to inspire people to truly see themselves and to have those aha moments. So that's why I do what I do.
Thanks, Dr. Heidi. Dr. Lauren?
You guys are also awesome. I think I really love seeing human potential. As a psychologist, it is about kind of correcting the wrongs, healing the heart, really being able to embrace ourselves. And then the part with like the power of the mind and the power of our thoughts and what is human potential really. You guys probably agree, there's certain challenges on this path of, because we're tested, right? And as soon as we get to a new level, the tests are harder, it has been my journey. But but when you overcome it, you know, and then you look back at it years later, it's like, I can't believe like I was worried about removing demons years ago, right? Because now it's like, you know, but other things are challenges to overcome. And, you know, and one day I hope we all get to be teleporting and walking on water and all kinds of wonderful things that I believe is human potential. So that's what motivates me.
Thanks, Dr. Lauren. Patricia?
Let's see. The thing that inspires me really is that I don't want anybody left out of the party, as we all are returning to the truth of who we are. And in my experience, really, I think it's already done. I think we're just acting it out. This is my belief system, that we are just really in a state of forgetting who we are. And when I say I don't want anybody left out of the party, it's like the people who are real, I don't know, fringe in our society, like the freaks, the geeks, the, you know, weirdos, the queerdos, the people who are like I was suicidal. I was suicidal most of my life. So to know that in the challenges that people have who are not anywhere near their potential, their potential is to just imagine surviving without struggling so greatly. So I am really motivated to invite those people to the party and give them that spark of hope, because I think the people that are having the biggest challenges also really have the potential to bring the brightest light. And I think we're missing a whole segment of our world, people who are just written off as, you know, losers, crazy, whatever. So anyway, that inspires me a lot.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Awesome answers, everybody. Love getting to know why you do your work. All right, so next, let's get into it. So all of us here work with holistic energy healing medicine. Is there a part of Western medicine that, you know, conventional medicine that has given you a source of frustration or trauma in your life?
Are you just going to start with the trigger question? And
I think the reason I'm asking that's a good point, Dr. Lauren. Like the reason I'm asking that is because the next question I'm gonna ask is, what is a holistic medicine success that you've had, right? So we could even skip that part if you want. I mean, I'm totally open.
no, I mean, I think it's completely relevant.
Great question.
It's a great question.
Okay. No, because I mean, that was a good answer too. All right, so I'll just start. I'm just gonna go with something recent. I was in a car accident 2 months ago, and I'm in a new state. I'm in a new city. I'm visiting Florida right now, moving here, and I don't have my people, right? So all of you are actually people I have seen for work, and I appreciate all of your work, but here I am in Florida, and I was like, shit, I need some help. Like I've been in a lot of pain. So I've been in the like Western medicine insurance circuit, and I I had to go get tests, and I go to a chiropractor. He didn't want to do certain things, even though he can do acupuncture, but because of the insurance model, he didn't think it would get covered. So he's doing these things that were like not really helping. So I ended up leaving him. I go to another chiropractor. Turns out I have to go get what is called a EMC in Florida. It's an emergency medical consult, because to get treated here, you have to get one. So a month in, I go get this EMC. I see this doctor. He touched me like briefly on my neck, said, yep, you need treatment. He wanted me to get an MRI. I'm with him for not even 10 minutes. He wouldn't answer any of my questions. He told me I had to come back for that. I asked the lady, they made a big deal about my insurance. So I said, well, how much is this going to cost? And she goes, oh, well, we don't know. And I said, well, you do this all the time. You know, what are the codes? Like, what could this cost? And she goes, well, probably somewhere around $900. And I go, oh, okay. And I'm thinking, oh, that's the insurance model right there. I was in there for 10 minutes. So he wants me to get an MRI and come back. I'm not going back, so that he because I told him I'm in the field, right? I'm in the field. I actually know a lot about my body. Can you explain certain things, why I have pain when I do this, when I do that? He goes, yeah, I'd love to explain that. You're going to get an MRI because I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. And then you come back and then I'll tell you a lot of things. And I was like, oh, so you want me to come back for another $900 and you can tell me a lot of things after you get, and I'm like, yeah, right. Not. Anyway, I'm making this a long story, but now the chiropractors I've been seeing, they get the MRI and they freak me out. I called Heidi. They freak me out because they're like, oh, you have like inflammation at like blah, 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 blah. And Heidi's like, yeah, your neck is straight. It happens. And they're like, C7's all inflamed. And they go, well, you know what? I think we need you to see a neurosurgeon. And I was like, a neurosurgeon? And they're like, right? I was like, I go, well, first of all, I would never put steroids in my body and I would never have surgery. And the guy looks at me, the chiropractor looks at me, goes, oh, he's like, okay, you would never put steroids in your body. I go, no, I would never put steroids in my body. And he's like,
Yeah,
well, we want to work with you. Right?
I
He's
mean,
like,
what you're saying is like summarizes the biggest problem with medicine is, and that's when I start looking at the spiritual battle, right? Because they come and they're trained, and somebody even said MK Ultra, and I kind of believe that 12 years of school, $500,000 investment in their education, they can't see that it's harmful and not helping, right? Because there's too much on the line. There's now paying their student loans back and taking care of their families, and you know, the whole, anyway. And plus, when you're in the culture, that's all you can see, right? It's hard to see like, wait a second, I gave them this medication and now their kidneys are shutting down, but I'm going to say it's because they have such and such and misdiagnose it when meanwhile it's a side effect of the medication. So same thing with what you said, there's something that is able to heal so holistically. Yeah. Right? And they want to do surgery and put things on you. And that's when, to me, the spiritual battle comes in and the demons like bring up this fear. You know, so I was recently in a medical office like that. And what I did as my coping skill was I was like, what would the enlightened masters do right now? Mm-hmm. Right? Because I don't want to go on this emotional sway of anxiety and fear, right? Because fear isn't real, only love is real. So when we know that, we have the coping skills to get through it. So I was like, okay, what would Jesus do in this room right now? Or what would Yogananda do? And it's like, I'm in love. This isn't my reality. Thank you for sharing your reality. I needed your diagnostic help because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing anything. And because I still probably have part of the programming of going to the medical system, just to remind myself that I don't like it, right? And then it doesn't actually do anything for me because the methods I use would heal it, right? But it's just sometimes feeling like I want to do something instead of nothing anyway. But that's the biggest thing.
Yeah,
and
no, I agree.
Problem worse.
And I appreciate you saying that, because that's actually the point I was trying to make really slowly, is that obviously I know my body and I'm in the holistic field, so it's not going to happen. But on the other side of that coin, I've had people contact me that have been in exactly the place I'm at. And the next thing you know, they're on 12 medications and they're lined up for surgery. Right. So absolutely, that's the point. And so I'm going to finish there because that is my nightmare. And I do want to just say that I saw a practitioner today, another chiropractor who actually does focus on deep healing. And so I have hope. But because it is, you know, the thing is like Lauren, we're all going to say the same story. Like in a way, we can heal ourselves, God can heal us, life can heal us, but sometimes you actually do need help, right? And so that's where things get frustrating. All right, thank you so much, Dr. Heidi.
I will share my experience. I had a couple years ago, my journey led me to have surgery, and in that journey was 10 years of preparing and clearing and doing all my healing work. So when I'd get the message, I knew that I was clear. I wasn't going to have cancer, like all those other things that could be big and scary. And I had, you know, that experience where you go in there and they're used to their control, they're used to this, they're used to that. And, you know, I manifested the right practitioner who still had little bits and pieces to say that you kind of get stuck in your head a little bit. They recommended these different protocols and treatments and this and that. And I just, you know, it wasn't about, coming from a place of trusting the body. It was a place of, you know, making sure you have this test and this test and this test. And, you know, still to this day, it is a little bit of a linger in my mind, even though I said, no, hell no, I'm not going to do that thing. This and this and this makes more sense to me. But it's not clean, their energy when you walk in the room. And for a lot of us who know how to hold our space, it was still difficult. So I can resonate with Charlie, and I've gone through a lot of accidents myself. And it's like, how do you play the game when you don't want to play the game? And at the same time, realizing we don't really ever have to play the game. And how do we empower people to really just trust and make sense? Like I had a practitioner suggest this test, and I just thought, you know, well, let me think about logically what's going on in my body. This and this makes sense, which is why this is happening. Do I need a test to tell me that I have this and this? No, because if this is there, then this is doing this and this is doing this. So it was stepping back into just thinking logically. And I know that with my clients who tend to have all kinds of crazy things going on, especially nowadays, it's like, well, let's look at it logically. Just okay, you have a whole person, you have a whole body. If this is happening, this is related to this is near this, it's probably going to piss this off. So then you're going to have this symptom. So if we clear this up, it's just putting things back and making them more simple, like putting the power back into the hands of the person and encouraging them to think for themselves. I think that gets so lost, because that was the medical model, that you go in and your doctor knows everything and you know nothing. It's like going to church and they read you a Bible of Latin and nobody speaks Latin and you just take them word for word. I'm not religious, but in that sense, it's like, let's shift the paradigm and empower these people to understand and make things more tangible and more logical, and rewrite the entire model of what it looks like to heal. And I think that's where, I see medicine, people are sick of medicine, which is fantastic. I'm so great to be alive during this time. People are sick of medicine. Let's turn it around. It's time to switch, because that old paradigm of that person being invalid for how they feel in their own body is no longer acceptable. And it's definitely a good time to see that pattern move.
Yeah.
Thank you. Dr. Lauren?
Yeah, I mean, everything that you guys said, building on what Dr. Heidi said, looking at us like we're parts instead of a whole. And so you were talking about like the body system, right? So if, this piece is attached to this piece, of course it's going to be upset. And then also, we're all spiritual healers, it's more than that, right? We're multidimensional, and there's a spiritual aspect, a mental aspect, an emotional aspect, and a physical aspect. And those are not being considered. To me, thinking that we're getting help and being flat out lied to, and the brainwashing that has happened to society and to our doctors that thought they were healing people, that's really frustrating to me. The fact that it was only 100 years ago that Rockefeller started to convince everybody that they're the only mainstream medicine and everything else is complementary. I have a friend that's in acupuncture school right now, and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be a doctor of Chinese medicine, and it works hand in hand with Western medicine. Like, I can complement them. No. You are your own theory of very standard effective healing. You actually don't need Western medicine at all, right? You can actually heal cancer. They can't. They harm people trying to heal cancer. Yours is harmonious and works with the body and balancing everything. So just the lies and the fraud and the whole system is upsetting. I mean, for me, I had kind of special needs that I, didn't know better when I was a teenager and went to Western medicine for, only to have side effects. It never healed anything. It covered things up. It never heals anything. It covers things up, right? That's like pretty much true all the way around. And then, vaccine injury, vaccines killed my mom's cat. Vaccines likely caused my daughter's seizures, which we've healed spiritually. Probably caused skin allergies for my dog, right? Because they weaken the spleen. So everything out there is like promising you one thing, even though they even tell us the side effects. And we're like, oh, the side effects are, it's like it's the biggest scam on the planet. And that is the part that gets me the most disappointed, upset. I want to like shake people and be like, you have to see it. You can't go to them and get healed. I'll leave it there because I could probably go on for 2 hours, but it'll
Thank
be
Love your fire. Love your fire, Dr. Lauren.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Patricia, what you got for us?
Well, this is such a charged topic for me too. It's the number one topic in my life that's been my spiritual journey, really foundation, is having a real transformation in my own relationship with Western medicine, because I was sick. I had a lot of things go with my body, go wrong with my body, go on in my body, go through my body, go sideways with my body, whatever, since I was a baby. I was like a really sick baby. And then I had a severe case of scoliosis as an adolescent, which I wore bracing for 5 years. Like the brace broke my rib and broke my spirit. And there was always, then in my 20s, I just had so many things, and I was all wrapped up in the Western medicine, because that's what I knew. That's what I was really shown all around me in every direction. I have a lot of family members that work in healthcare, Western medicine healthcare. And So I was all in the system, and I was really curious one time when I looked at my astrology chart. I read some book that said my placement of, I don't even remember what it was, something like Pluto in the something house. It says Western diagnostic testing will not work for you. And I was like, fucking A, bingo. I was like, my body will go like send me on a wild goose chase with, like, for example, like I had a lump in my breast. So I went for a mammogram, and then the mammogram showed a concern. And then they decided they wanted to go a needle biopsy. They put a needle biopsy through my nipple into this thing, and they found an unusual amount of like blood. So they sent me to a hematologist that ended up doing this puncture test in my arm, because it's nothing related with the tumor in my breast. This was like, then I had this thing that I had like some form of hemophilia, like on and on. I was like, and then like, 17 tests later down the road. And that's just one example, but there've been so many. Anyway, so my transformation has been massive. I used to work for the National Cancer Institute, and I had script lines that I would have to tell people when they would call about, I'm just talking about the complementary medicine that you were talking about, Dr. Lauren, is like, no, that like, this is the standard, what the National Cancer Institute is recommending. And then everything else is, complementary and alternative and complementary. That has its own category. And I was like, ugh. That's when I was really starting to get away from the whole thing. And then, I had so many episodes of massive depressions, and I have been on medication several times for depression. And there came a time when I said, this isn't the way. This isn't the way. And I had such a drive inside of me to heal depression. So that was my drive. I said, I'm going to heal this depression without medication because it's speaking to me. And I come from the perspective that everything that happens to the body, including accidents, including any random illnesses that come in, it's all for us, every single part of it. And it's cryptic, of course. We don't always know until we know what the path is with it. But I trust everything that comes on my plate, like really, I've gotten better and better, like sooner and sooner and sooner, trusting everything that comes. So I'm really on the other side of the depression. I mean, I will dip down a little low, but I really have, I think, through the model of deep listening and trusting sort of an alternative way, finding my way. Anyway, I feel really, really blessed and happy to have sparked awake from such a deep trance of being full on in the Western medicine model. So that's my story, a bit of it.
If I can, I'd like to share that when I met Patricia, it took maybe, I don't know, a few hangouts for her to say, I need to confess something to you. And I said, what's that? And she was like, I don't believe in cancer. And I was like, awesome. I don't believe in cancer either. And she was like, and I don't get mammograms. And I was like, awesome. I don't believe they work.
Yeah, I mean, cancer, I think, is the biggest scam too.
Oh.
Can we go into that? Because I don't know as much as you guys know. I just know what I do to heal by healing the spiritual, mental, and emotional aspects that the physical body carries itself, whether I'm doing family constellation or shamanic journey, whatever. But cancer, from the little that I know about New German medicine, is that what it's called? German New Medicine, whatever that is. To me, I'm almost like, is Western medicine intervening actually right when the healing symptoms start? So it looks like a healing, it's actually healing, and then they're like, oh, this is really terrible. And then they're doing an intervention and it actually blocks the healing from happening. Because to me, it's Luciferian. So you're saying yes.
This when I confessed to Charlie, I had maybe been not that long out of my job with the National Cancer Institute at a big fancy cancer hospital in New York City, and while I was there was when things were really sparking for me. I had actually glimmers long before that. My whole life I've had glimmers that I was going to really overcome this trance of Western medicine in me. But I really, with the cancer thing, was part of the thing that really woke me up, because I saw the cancer as an attempt by the body to heal. And so, and then we take someone at their most sort of poignant moment on a journey and blast them with the fear. It's like, you have this, the C word, and we're going to also blast you with chemotherapy, radiation, all these things that are clearly, I saw all the statistics. They don't even really work. I mean, there are some cancers that they can work for, but the vast majority, it's like, it doesn't even work. And people think, well, I have to do something, so I'll do that. And it just so clearly, and my whole constitution is like, this is not, it's not the thing.
Yeah, I'll just piggyback on that, if you believe that the body is trying to, if you believe the body can heal, then you look at cancer and you say the body fucked up, it was trying to heal something and it made a mistake. Or instead of making a mistake, like if you have a tumor, maybe your body said, oh, this energy in our body, there's something that's not working, so we're going to surround that thing and put it here, and maybe the body's intelligence is making a tumor, right? So either way, it's like the body is trying to actually help you heal, and so it made a tumor, so guess what, it's trying to heal you in some way. But I want to say that just even piggybacking on what Dr. Heidi said earlier, and Patricia, you brought it up, and so did you, Lauren, like, it's that fear, right? So when you're in a vulnerable state, they bring in the F word and they scare the crap out of you. I know almost everything about healing in that I'm open to believing my body can heal. And then these doctors come in and they give you a friggin' MRI and they go, oh, we want to send you to a neurosurgeon. I'm not gonna lie, I got scared for a minute. And then they were like patting me on the back, like, oh, don't worry, we're gonna take care of you. And I'm like, but you're already not taking care of me. You know what I mean? So it's like crazy. So Heidi, do you want to share any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's so right on with that. And again, it just taps into how I see everything. It's like, like Patricia, you talked about you going through some really intense things. Like in my world, I've gone through some really intense things too. And I just have this innate ability to look at every single pain and every single thing and everything that goes on with my body, or everything in life. I mean, just everything. Like, this is just potential. This is just potential. Like, and there's not 1 ounce of me that has resistance to that, whether it's slamming in a car accident. I mean, I've been in 12 car accidents, I've had surgery, I've had things removed, and all of that. Like when I went through my surgery, I was also downloading past life patterns and clearing all of this birth trauma. I mean, I was like totally channeling all of these things while I'm going through the hospital, knowing that this was the path, because it was, and it was opening up a pattern. So there was nothing about me and anything that I choose, and I see this with people, it's not about resistance, and it's not about something. The body never does anything wrong, ever. Nothing in life is wrong. It's all a potential to choose the direction you want to go. And if you're not getting the results you want, then tune in a little deeper and tap in a little deeper and get a little more clear and get a little more, open to what the world, life, universe, God, however you want, is trying to share with you. And I own that to the center of my, cellular vibration, that this is just a potential. It's like I was even telling Charlie earlier, like I was going through some difficult like cramps and stuff the other day and today, and I had to take medication because I was just like knee buckling. But in it, it's still like, I've just got this most massive download the last couple of days. And I know that it's just flushing through me so much that I haven't had time to process it, because I have something else that it's showing me in the dark shadows that I'm now seeing, and I'm managing if I need to, which is temporarily, and I rarely do. And I will clean up, and I have detox stuff, and I have all the things that I'm taking. And at the same point, I'm so in so much gratitude, because the shadow side, it opened the door for me. And I got to see this area of complete darkness in my field that I was not tapping into because of the pain and things that were coming through my system. And yeah, I'm seeking herbs, and I contacted Charlie and was like, hey, what's suggestion for here? And at the same time, like, I'm open to this whole other perspective. So never in my understanding and my vibration is anything ever wrong with me. And I express that into every person I look at. I mean, even my plant who's wilting, it's like, how more can I listen to you? You're obviously expressing something. My dog who's right here. Okay, what are your needs? Like, how can I listen? And so, if we can just encourage people to shift their paradigm and shift the potential and hold space to understand that your body never does anything wrong. And it's really just about honoring what it does and listening to the message, So it really, I mean, pain and discomfort can almost be my most favorite things in the world because they're such door openers. And had we not had these potential, we wouldn't be evolving into the humans that we are today. And so I look back at, the only thing I really regret in life is not getting a real wedding photographer for my wedding. But everything else in my life, there isn't anything that I look back and I'm just like, shit, that, I like to swear. So
You're with good company.
on my podcast, I'm like, F this and F that, but I think I'm Irish in some aspect of that. But for me, it's just like, what a fucking journey it's been. How amazing, because the person I am today, I have unlimited joy that expresses on so much more of a potential level than I ever had 10 years ago or 2 years ago. And the massive transformation that I went through, and, we all have this crazy 2 years, but it just the most massive potential to be deeper into who I am. And no matter what my body's gone through, it just is opportunity and to like, let's, create a most empowering opportunity so people can really know that. And, I'm grateful that that's what we're doing here. So
yeah, can I just build on that a little bit, just from like that psychology perspective? Because to me, Charlie, before we started the recording, one of the things you're going to ask is like, what's the biggest challenge? And so just building on what you're saying, because when you're in it and you're in the fear and it feels panicky, right? There's like different things. So one is to, what I had said before, remember that we are in the world of illusion, and that's actually what gives fear or darkness, or not, because darkness isn't bad, but evil is, right? Or whatever. But so you want to know that if I'm in fear, it's not true, right? And then if we still, or you or whomever still can't stabilize and be grounded and calm and peaceful and at rest, it's because it's hitting a childhood or past life or ancestral trauma. And so then when we go in and heal that trauma to bring harmony back, sometimes it makes the symptoms go away, but certainly at least brings peace of mind so that you can then continue to treat the symptoms in a more harmonious way. That's all I have to say about that.
That's awesome.
No,
Yeah,
yeah. I was just going to say also what related to what Heidi was saying, the potential, like whenever I say, I'm going to tell you what I say sometimes to new clients that are come in, and I work with people typically who are suicidal or like really in a dark place often when they start working with me. I'll tell them, like, as low as you go, as dark as it is, right, is really sort of the reflection of when it's healed, how bright your light will be. And that it's like that potential that the big, little challenge, a little healing, a huge challenge, a huge healing, a huge bright light of us in the world who have been willing to work with these challenges in the deepest possible way. Because what most people do when they have challenges come to them is they find the way to turn the dial down, whether through Western medicine, alleviating the symptoms or whatever, and then really, but to go into the challenge so that contrast, the light that will come, when the trauma of it all is healed, is, I think it's just such a fun thing to be talking about this with all of you who I know really, really get it.
Yeah, the only way out is through, right? What you resist persists, right? Those sayings are there because Western medicine is a roundabout. It's really not through.
It's not the pathway through.
Yeah.
Great. So that actually is awesome. Thanks, everybody. Let's go into the next question, just kind of building on what we're talking about here. And what I'm thinking is, like, how does true healing occur and what does true healing look like? And then even a third, if you want to talk about, like, what is the energy of healing versus the energy of fixing? So I'm going to not go first because I have been. So we'll start with Dr. Heidi.
Okay, healing versus fixing. What was the other two?
Just what does healing look like?
Healing's messy.
Ooh.
I love that old statement, it's healing's not for the weak, but to me, that's a little judgmental. So I will tell you I have a new client who has a lot of rough history, a lot of rough emotional past. We had to go a lot of layers with her, and I let it, it's like my work, as you guys know, is, well, and Lauren, you don't know, but my work is, it's like all of us, we go deep. Like, I don't want to mess around. So I'm a type A personality who just likes to get shit done. So my work is that way. And she came in and had an amazing session. I kind of blew her up in a way, energetically. And it was just like, oh God, shit. Charlie was like, just, bless her. And I was like, okay, so then her blessing energy. And I saw her the next day at a gathering, and she looked like shit. And it was like, I was so excited that she looked like shit because I knew she needed to get it all out. And she just, she could move her arm. So she was all excited because her arm was all locked up and she had like trigger finger, and it was like a huge energetic pattern locked in, and we cleared that. But she knew that she was healing because, okay, she felt like crap, but something was free. And she trusted that change, even though everything else, she was like, oh my God, what is this woman doing to me? And granted, we need to put her on some energy flushing detox cleanse. I got to get her some antioxidants and those kind of things. But I was so excited, and it was just authentic. Like, she had so much change in one session. And to me, that's healing. It's about moving in the direction of unraveling the crap and starting to free things up. And the intention is, hopefully is it a gentle roll, but sometimes it's not. And sometimes if you've been in resistance and you've just been, piling all the crap in, it's going to look messy. And it takes a deep trust, and that's why I think it's so important to have a person that you trust to work with you and walk you down the aisle in a way, is because if you don't know and you've not done deep work like that, and the whole like cascade of the avalanche starts moving, it's a little shaky. And, that's actually my favorite part, because then I know stuff just got done. And, it's like, I don't know, I tend to be the one who just pulls the Band-Aid off really quickly and just like deal with stuff. So for me, it's never been like, oh my God, let's make this softer and slower. It's like, just hurry this fuck up. Like, come on, get to the other side. So that's, I'm going to remind myself it's okay to slow down and have that peace. But it really is just change. And I tend to remind people, like, did you feel that? If you feel crappy, you're feeling. If you feel good, you're still feeling. If you don't feel anything, we have a problem. And I have a new client who I started working with, and he doesn't feel anything. And I'm like, if you're working with me and you're not feeling anything, I'm really concerned. So
yeah, get in your body. Yeah,
that to me is healing. I think the idea of fixing is just kind of like trying to get somebody out of your office, like pleasing people, and so if we're the idea of fixing, like, are you wanting to evolve your point of view? Are you wanting to understand your reality? Are you wanting to seek a greater potential with yourself? Or are you wanting to get rid of something? That's, I think, fixing versus healing. If you just don't want to deal with something, you're in fixing. But if you're like, all right, this hurts, let's see what else is possible. Like, let's go even more. Let's see what else I can dig up. I think you're in healing. So I think it's really just intention. What's the person's intention?
Cool.
Must be.
Thank you. Love it.
I love everything that you said. And so I'm going to just say yes, and then I'll just add some different bits there. So when people are new to this way of healing, to going holistic healing, one of the biggest things that I've seen they don't understand is that there are many, many, many layers. I've had people, and in a session, and like you, Dr. Heidi, I like to move as much energy as a person can kind of safely tolerate, right? But sometimes I'll be like, move and be like, heal a layer, and then somebody will come back and be like, I feel the same. I'm like, well, you can't feel the same because we healed a layer, but I can understand you saying maybe you're not in joy yet. Right. So one of the things that I think is important for people when they're like, okay, what does this healing journey look like, is how many days of our childhood did we have? Right. So 365 days of childhood times 18 years. Did we ever wind up being in war after that, or a car accident? Was there some sort of another trauma after 18? The neurons that fire together, wire together. So our worldview is created age 0 to 10. So if we're in a traumatic family or family that's disengaged from each other or whatever it is, that's what normal is to us. So we 365 days times all those years of living in that family times all the minutes in that day, you know, those are part of what we need to heal. Now, you don't have to go through each and every one because there's patterns that this is built on, but it's going to take more than one session. So I find that with holistic healing, people tend to not give it as much patience as they give Western medicine, right? Because Western medicine, they'll go to chemo for 6 months and then do radiation and, you know, be at not having hair and be bloated from all the side effects. And, you know, and they gave it all that time, but holistic healing, sometimes they give it one session. Well, it takes more than one session because then this pattern might have even started in a past life, or it might be your great, great, great grandparents' pattern. And we need to heal it at the root cause. And maybe there's, you know, maybe for a tumor to show up, maybe there's multiple energies that are making that energy stuck so that it's not flowing smoothly to bring you to harmony. So I would say, you know, my definition of healing is about restoring harmony so that, you know, pure energy can flow through the body again. And, you know, healing versus fixing, there's a layer. I mean, fixing, you know, can sometimes just be a Band-Aid, but, you know, I don't, to me, it's kind of, you know, we can mince words. It depends on what definition we want to use of healing versus fixing. So I'm going to just, I think, leave it with what the process of healing looks like for anybody that's curious and wants to try something new. And once you get rid of one layer, by the way, or resolve one layer, not getting rid of anything, resolve, once you turn the wound into wisdom, the unconscious mind gets really excited and brings up another layer because it's like, oh, you've got it now, right? So we might have resolved something and then it might feel kind of crummy again emotionally in some way, but that's because the unconscious mind is like, yes, the floodgates are open. Let's keep going and keep getting rid of all these things because you're going to feel better than ever at the end of it.
Good point.
Yeah.
Mm.
Complete.
Thanks, Dr. Lauren. That was awesome. Patricia. What do
Yeah.
you think?
I just want to say I love Dr. Lauren, what you said about the how the you know, that wise part of us just keeps bringing the next thing. And this is so clear that once our system, our psyche starts to be in on what we're doing with that healing journey, it's so predictable, yeah, that the next thing just comes and comes and comes and comes. And it's, you know, yeah, we don't have to undo every childhood wound. And I think of it like a deck of cards, how, you know, we could childhood wound by childhood, if we want to break, you know, tear the house down, we could take one card at a time. But really, I think what holistic healing does is like turns that whole house upside down. We just pull out a few key cards and house is coming down, right? Because it's like, and we get to build a new house on a solid foundation. And Heidi, when you were saying, you know, you're a real type A and you're going to get some shit done. I'm a real type B. And it's interesting because I am surprised when I sit with clients, especially if I'm with new clients, I can't, even in my type B-ness, I can't not go deep. Like sometimes people go, whoa, that session was like a lot. And I'm not doing anything. For me, I'm just being myself. But my presence invites people to go deep. And so it's where I live. For me, it's normal. Other people will sit with me for an hour and a half, and they go, whoa, that's like so intense. I'm like, all right, well, welcome to, yeah, what it feels like to really be in the truth. You know, and the contrast can be a lot. But one of the things I'll say about healing, the way that I work and the way that I look at it is that I'm thinking of masculine versus feminine energies. I think our whole culture is really with the drive, the masculine, goal-oriented, like, yeah, I have this problem in my body, let's fix it. And I think that the feminine wisdom of going into the mystery of it, going into the darkness of it, we don't know where we're going to come out. We don't even know if this illness or whatever it is that you have is a lifetime assignment. This may be with you a long time. This may not be something that you're here to you know, get rid of. This may be something that is like your sacred portal, into the deeper truth of who you are. So it's really, I think that the feminine versus the masculine sort of way to look at this is helpful for me, because we are, I think, so deep into the rabbit hole in our culture of the Western model, which is very, very masculine. We got a problem, let's go fix it. And I think that what we need is the rebalancing of the more mystical path with the body, because anybody that thinks they understand what's going on in the body, I could tell you they're wrong, because there is such a wisdom in and through us, and it's the power of God, of the power of love, the power of sort of the, I don't know, transmutation of everything that we as a species have been through, that's in our systems, playing out through our lives. And so I just, that's the way I like to look at it. And just to really be in the mysticism of, we don't know, there's so much we don't know, but presence with an individual who is going through something matters a lot. And then that unnameable force, we could call it, or I'm comfortable calling it God, but when two are sitting together with deep presence, something comes in and does the healing. So I don't consider myself a healer. I mean, I believe that force that comes in that does the healing requires a lot of humble willingness to just be with the challenge with that person, whatever that person is going through.
Awesome. Thanks, Patricia, for sharing. Every single thing I heard there was so amazing that I really don't have much to say. So I'm just going to say yes. And I believe in a healing team. So I believe it's a process. Healing is a process. I think, that's the thing, is like life is a process, like living, right? So it's like, we're taught that you live and then you die, and that's the process. And Lauren has brought this in, and I know we all agree with this, that's not true. I mean, there's this lifetime is a place where we've chosen a body, we're in this body, we're living out this body's karma. The DNA that's in this body is related to our family, right? So when people get into like, oh, well, I have diabetes because my dad had diabetes. Well, my whole family has diabetes and I don't have diabetes and I'm not going to have diabetes. So it's like, we don't have to play out the genes that we're given, but we can, transform those genes, and we can use the strengths, so yes, do I deal with some of the weaknesses in the body structure of my family? Of course I do. But do I also deal with some of those strengths? Yes. And do I transmute those and blow them out of the water? My family my family loves me, but they do not know what to do with me. Like they look at me, I'm sure they look at me and they're like, who is this being that is like our lineage guy? You know what I mean? And I know that's for everyone in this call right now, right? Like we're all like, where did we come from? We came from God with a really bright light and a mission, and most people don't. So, but that's, I think the point is, we're here to connect and to help people understand that they can be connected so strongly to God and their mission that, they don't have to worry so much about everything, and they can get out of that place of fear and come into just living life. Like, even making the choices I've made in the last 2 years. And I think we should probably talk about that a little bit. Like, what has the last 2 years been like for you? What has, you can talk about the challenges, but really, like, how have you grown? How have you expanded yourself as a person, expanded your life? And what I'm going to say about that briefly is that, in a way, I have less money than I had 2 years ago when I started this journey, which wasn't even much at that time. I had just graduated grad school, and I'm not working right now in my field. Well, I shouldn't say that, because here I'm working in my field. I'm planning to get working. I don't have an office yet in Florida. I'm working on that. So it's like, there's all these things, but at the same time, I'm like more full of life than ever before, right? And I'm even dealing with this accident, which is the first time I've had like a actual injury to heal and stuff like that. But it's like, I've let go of so many things because it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I want to build wealth again. And yes, I want to build structures. And yeah, I certainly want to do my work. I'm really feeling called to like create some things that can help people heal. But at the same time, like, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, ooh, I have green tea. Or even sometimes I don't, I drink water, or I can go swimming in the ocean, and it's like time. I have time to myself, and I can meditate, and I can cook myself beautiful food, and I can go to nature, go see music. It's like those things in life have become so amazing and full of life. Whereas I think many people are so focused on the things they're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? And I'm sad about that, because when I'm out there driving in the world and stuff, people are fucking insane right now. And I can feel them because I'm an empath, and they're like so strung out and so angry, and they're so disconnected from like the ease of being, and ease of being even within like a ridiculous amount of stress that we've all been under. I mean, this is just what's happening in this time. I mean, I know Lauren and I have talked about this a lot, and Heidi, we've talked about this. Patricia doesn't love to go to that part because she likes to focus on the positive, but like we are being put under there are such pressure of negativity out there, right? And I feel people around me really succumbing to it a lot right now. Like I'm sad about it, but at the same time, there's a lot of life force being built too, and really beautiful stuff. But that's why I feel like really grateful to be connected to what it is to have that life force and that connection to nature and God, and that thing that never dies. You know, like you can be 90 years old and have the most beautiful life force. You can be sick and have this most beautiful life force. Life force never dies. So I will say that I'd love to hear what you guys have to think about like the last 2 years and how it's put you where you are today.
Can I just add one thing
yeah,
before
please.
we switch topics? Because
Yeah.
if we do share this video out there, I want to make sure that whoever needs to hear this message gets it.
Okay.
So to me, the darkest emotion, and you guys can correct me if you have a different experience, but the darkest emotion that we have is shame. And shame for me is one of those emotions that Patricia, you're probably better at holding space for it, because that's one of the ones where I'm like, oh, I don't want to see her at all, because it feels so, to me, disgusting and uncomfortable. But so sometimes when we are in an illness and we are new to healing and new to finding a new way, we think that maybe we aren't worthy of healing, or we're talking about, you know, higher consciousness, divine light, God, whatever word we want to call it, and we feel not worthy of healing. That is all shame lying to us. That is another form of fear. And my experience and my belief system is that for every ailment we have out there, there is an answer. So for anyone that is like, well, they can't help me, we can. You know, we can. And if I can hold space so that God can. And that's been one of the biggest things for me. If we're going to talk about programs from childhood, you know, in some ways I received a lot, but in other ways, maybe I didn't receive, right? So to all of a sudden just have God take care of me and nurture me sometimes because I ask for it, and I feel like it's too big for me, and to be held in that way. There are gifts that are free for us out there. Lots of times we just have to ask. So
I love your point of view, Lauren. It's the first time you and I have kind of crossed paths, and I just love the simple message and profound way that you communicate.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm like, I don't, were you on?
I'm taking notes on your stuff. I'm like, oh my God, that's such a great way of it.
I'm from New Jersey, so I'm always like, let me take these things there. Now you.
No, I love it. I love it because I've had such a download. I mean, it's not. It feels so serendipitous that we're connecting on the Lions portal today. I was telling Charlie, I was like, oh my God, we decided on this call. I'm like, because there's so, what I've been seeing in my journey is that there's so much needing the volume of value. And filling in all of that space. And like, as I mentioned, when I'm type A, I'm like, move on to the next thing, move on to the next thing. It's like, okay, let's go deeper. Like, I can sit with people in shame, no problem. I can go into them with anger and hold space, no problem. Like, I don't have a resistance into the scary stuff. That's my type A. It's like, all right, let's go deeper. What else is next? Let's go deeper. Okay, keep going. But in that, reminding us that there is that gentleness, you know, and it's like, I love the Patricia that you talked about. Like, it's really just about holding space. We're not the healers. Like, we are the wisdom reminders, as I like to think of it, you know. And I love the idea of what did the last 2 years remind us. For me, the last 2 years backhanded me basically. And every journey as I dove into it was a journey of deep trust. And it's like, I know the things that I've gone into my life, like I know what debilitating pain is like. I know what passing out and throwing up from pain is like. I know what it feels like to feel like your life is over, and every time it rains you have a panic attack. I know what it feels like to come back from the depths of hell and go through it again. And I also know what it feels like to turn your entire dream of a life on a dime and in 4 days go the other direction and dive in and go there, and then go a completely other direction and sit for a year waiting for something to happen that doesn't happen, and all you do is scream and yell and finally surrender and say, fuck it, this is probably going to be what needs to happen. And then at the other side of it, it was exactly perfect, because that not happened for that year, this wouldn't have happened. And had a, you know, so like I think the last 2 years for me ironed out any wrinkles I had in my inability to be convicted in the journey, and to fully step into knowing what real joy feels like for the first time in my life, knowing what real heartbreak feels like for the first time in my life, knowing what devastation feels like for the first time in my life, and knowing what expansion of love feels like for the first time in my life, and knowing what true acceptance inside and out feels like for the first time in my life. And to be in a town where I was worried that I was going to be chased out by pitchforks, and actually feel the most welcome I've ever felt in my life, which is very odd to me, having been in a place of judgment of going this direction 2 years ago when the ball started rolling. So the 2 years has been the most chaotic, most magical and incredible realignment to who I am, more than I ever thought I was going to be. And I think that's really what we're all here for. Like, I don't like to go in the negative either, because I don't look at anything as negative, you know? And I also feel like what happened is done. We're in a new world. It's already changed, it's already shifted. We're already going into this new direction. And I'm also at a place where, okay, like I caught myself the other day having a conversation with this new woman that I met who was amazing. And here I was complaining about the drama that I was dealing with in Portland and the fights. And I was just like, all of a sudden I was like, I'm done. Like, my past is done. I'm done talking about that. I am done talking about where things were. I'm done talking about how hard it was. And this is a new world. Like, it just pivotally happened yesterday. And I was listening to a podcast, and it was just like, all of a sudden it clicked. And it was like, the line is drawn and it's cut. Like, I am letting this go. So I almost don't have a desire to talk about what happened any time other than this moment and forward, because the new world has already arrived and people are ready to start coming out of the depths. And this is where I really want to meet them. It's like, it almost reminds me of, and I don't really watch horror movies, but I just think of like these zombies crawling out of the like burial grounds, you know, and they're like crawling and their skin's all gone and they're all beat up and they got like cobwebs all over them. And what is it, like Michael Jackson's Thriller? That's where I see is like, we're coming to that and people are done and I'm done. So I just want to be like, okay, what's next? Like, where are we going? All this amazing stuff happened. Yes, we're healing. All this happened. Transformation is here. And so I think this will be the last time, and I'm committing to myself, that I will talk about what happened from here and 2 years ago. Because I only want to talk about the amazing things that are ahead that inspire me, because we're all new people now. We've all been uploaded. I mean, regardless if you believe it or not, we've been uploaded. And I know you guys do. But for everybody else, they've been uploaded. And it's us to create that inspiration. So that's kind of where, that's where I'm going.
So my dog did get up, so I was just kind of waiting my turn. So Patricia, I might miss part of yours.
Oh, okay.
I go to the bathroom after I talk, but you know, for me, I'm just so New Jersey. It's totally programming that I can benefit from slowing down, but my mind keeps being like, okay, everyone's got to see this stuff now, right? So how can they not see it? How are we still in this? How is the news still saying this and still some people believing it? You know, I keep thinking that we must be at critical mass, and then I'm like, oh, we might be years away from critical mass, right? Or like, which timeline are we on right now, and or am I on right now? Because you know, they kind of seem to keep changing. But the thing that has been the most growth insight changing for me was, oh my gosh, look at how many forces are against us. And I'm going to say those forces, I'm going to use the word evil, and because it made me then look at, well, you know, like Western medicine to me is killing, maiming, harming people. Like, how has that gotten away with it for so long? Look at poverty on this planet when money is actually just printed out of thin air, and it's just a way to like have people suffering. And, you know, look at all of this suffering on the planet that doesn't have to be here. And so then I'm like, why? And in Hawaiian healing, which I'm also trained in, they talk about how the universe is made in dichotomies, the first dichotomy being that masculine and feminine. And so when something is out of balance, it's where the disharmony arises. So we can use that towards healing too. But, you know, so if everyone said that the opposite of God or opposite of good is evil or something like that, and some people are like, well, you need evil because that's how form is created. When there isn't evil anymore, we won't be in our physical bodies, which is maybe what some people are saying about ascension. But one of the things that I've seen in my healing journey while looking at this stuff is that evil is how God expands. Okay, so the darkness goes and it tries to see how far away from God it can get. So, you know, if we look at vibration levels, you know, there's a certain level that is God level, and underneath it is where darkness and these forces against us and pain and suffering exist. So at a certain point, when we've healed ourselves enough, we are only bright light and we're pretty much untouchable. But until then, evil is kind of hiding in God's shadows, right? And it's actually us, you know, if I'm going to use the word light worker, it's us light workers that go and look at that darkness, and we're literally actually expanding God. Because just like anti-gravity expands the universe, and the universe just keeps growing and growing and growing, God is actually an image and mirror of that, where it just keeps expanding. So that was the biggest thing for me coming out of COVID, is kind of being like, okay, like evil does have a place in the universe. I might not like it. I might be like, really, I have to learn this lesson too? Because trust me, there's like times where I'm like bartering with God. I don't want to learn this lesson too, you know, but you're in it. The only way out is through, and it's actually where the wisdom and more healing comes from. So, and I'm sorry, I'm going to take my dog outside. I do want to hear what you have to say. Maybe I'll get to listen to it later, but I'm going to put it on mute so that you guys don't hear me going in and out the door and stuff.
Miss Patricia.
Yes, the past 2 years have been growing in a lot of ways. And, you know, starting with getting more comfortable with people's projections toward me. And that's been a beautiful blessing, because I used to be such a people pleaser, and I really used to care that people were thinking well of me, right? And this whole era of the past 2 years has really started to tease that apart. And so I like to just like unravel that, and that's been a beautiful thing. And I think that I'm, you know, coming here to the present, I had I love what you said, Heidi, about the, you know, that is that, and here we are, and being in Portland still, and Portland has been through so many changes since in the 12 years that I've been here. This is what I want to say about Portland today, really just like today. Actually, yesterday I started this new project, which is 57 days of clarity. So it's like a pilgrimage of a walking meditation / offering out to the world, where I am. This is the what's with my mind while I'm walking. Sensitivity is my superpower. Love is my way. Your heart has a story to tell. What's it gonna say, right? Today even. And I've been having encounters with people out there walking 2 to 8 hours a day. It just started yesterday. Today was the second day. I went out this morning at 4:30 in the morning to start my walk. And what I encountered, it was really, really interesting, because I noticed walking around my neighborhood in the dark, I felt scared. And I was like, oh, great. I knew. I was like, this is part of my journey, really, to face the fear, because I don't want to identify with that fear. And there it was. So I worked with it and I kept walking, and every little thing that happened like made me jump, because, there was a bicycle that went by and I was like, there's somebody, and all this energy around me. The beautiful, beautiful thing about it is that I am committed to this 57 days, and I'm committed to, I actually don't, this is radical, but I'll just put it out there because y'all can handle it. I don't believe in evil. And the way I look at evil is that it is it's like the fall from grace, and the evil is not out there in my experience. The evil is in here. So when I'm afraid, I'm out in my neighborhood walking in Portland, and I'm afraid, that is my darkness to clean up. And I'll tell you one further story about on day number 1 of my 57 days of clarity. I was sitting with this woman who was really not well. She was sitting on a bench. She was screaming to herself. She was not somebody that typically I would be drawn to connect with. And yet yesterday, since I'm on this mission, I care about the story that her heart has. And I told her that. I told her sensitivity is my superpower. I care about, how's your day? She said, it's not a good day. And I said, oh, and I talked with her a little bit, and she looked me right in the eyes and said, I can tell that you care. And that moment, she made more clear eye contact with me than, 95% of people that are walking around this city. And I just thought that was such a beautiful demonstration of the whatever's out there, meaning, people that are, you talked about this, Heidi, right? The anger that's out there, or the shame that's out there, or the this or the that, or whatever that's out there. In my world, there is no out there. This is the oneness. So if I see it out there, it's inside of me. So that's my role, is to just, and that's what the mission I'm on right now, is to just clean up more and more and more and more of the darkness inside me, so that I can be the light and inspires other to spark awake into their true light.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So for what I've been thinking about the last 2 years for me is that, when the whole thing went down, of course, like everyone, I was in a healthcare business and I shut it down for 3 weeks and we did all the things. But after that, within those couple weeks, I started looking and noticing that I was not thinking about this the same way as everyone else was, right? Like, and I don't mean everyone else, because I think we are all on similar pages here, but I mean the people I was working with, people on the news, people in my community. And so that created a little bit of a disconnection, right? So in that, I started following, it's weird how it brought a lot of people together. Like it's like the Hogwarts sorting school, right? It was like, which team are you on? So we all got sorted, right? And I was on this team, and my team was all these beautiful healers that are on Instagram and YouTube and all this thing, and beautiful people. But in that, like, I'm a little bit of an other, right? So I'm transgender, and so that's not pretty comfortable for the standards of many of those healers that were on my side of the team. And so this made me stop following some really influential people, which I'm not going to name names. I'm not really into that game. But the point is that I'm following all these people. I'm finding all this internet community because we had to. And yet at the same time, I was like, wow, these people are like, they hate people like me. They think I'm wrong. And I don't care if people like me. It's nothing like that. But it's like, people don't know the story of my journey, right? And so I'm really committed to my own truth and to following God and all that. And I had to, of course, work that out myself in my journey. But for other people to say that people like me are wrong, it's like, you don't even know me. You know nothing about me. If you yourself don't have that journey, then you really shouldn't be saying anything about it, right? So, and believe me, I've been prejudiced in my life, so it's not a big deal. Like, I'm not making a big story. But what I have learned in the last, like, I'd say 6 months is I had to stop following all of these people, because it's like, I can't have people like throwing this like negativity at me and like at everyone else. And I started being like, well, why are they doing that? And I'm just going to say this here, but I started realizing that most of those people may be very well intended, but they're doing that because they want a following, right? So they need to, what got created in the pandemic was for all of these people to get famous, and they make their living that way. Like people, when they have all these like, you know, channels on YouTube or Instagram channels or TikToks, all this stuff, they're making money off of it. I mean, not everybody, but many people are. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I have no problem. I would like to make money doing, you know, things that help people. It's just more that I, at some point, realized that the truth is not out there. And this is something I teach people all the time. And yet we need community. So this is like the big perplexion of being human, right? Because we're not on a solo journey, but we're on a solo journey. So I stopped following all those people. I shut off all my stations. And I just started really listening more internally and listening to the podcasts of people who are like literally just putting out information, not like popularity contest stuff. And so what this 2 years has brought me is, I think, more, and it's funny because I'm trying to work on my career right now, and I feel like I'm getting completely redirected every second to just really start here, like focus on me, but like put your stake in the sand, right? It's like, I don't have to be right, I don't have to be perfect, but it's like I can just share the message that God has given me to share in healthcare, right? In healing and spirituality, whatever. And so I think like what the last 2 years has given me is like a redirection back to myself and back to purity. It's like I have to get rid of my own ego, right? Because it's like I wanted to be part of these movements. I wanted to be part of all these other people. And I'm not even saying that they're wrong, right? They're just wrong for me. And so it's like given me this like dance of clarity of like what's right for me, and it's like constantly coming back to what's right for me, you know, all that stuff. So
I saw a lot of gaslighting, painful gaslighting of your reality in this whole thing, and sorry for you that there's people are still in such harmful dichotomies that are not heart-centered, right? Because the big movement of what we're doing is moving towards the heart, to where we can't judge somebody else's journey of being right or wrong. Right. And so to me, the healers that are out there doing it, like you said, it's not heart-centered, and it's a growth opportunity for them. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Thanks.
That's a weird world out there.
Isn't
I'm
it?
up in a very conservative area, and I got the other day that one of my clients said, you know, you're an enigma. And I was like, a what? And it's kind of like, I got the opposite kind of what you got. Like I was a freedom fighter, intuit, psychic, whatever my clients want to call me. And my husband like builds guns. And they were just like, normally people like you are like liberals. Just was like, I'm neither, I'm a human being, you know? And it was just, it is, the stereotypes on both sides are just as extreme. And I love, Lauren, that you keep guiding us back to the heart. And I just wrote down, it was like the journey towards the heart. Like that is seriously what this is all about. You know, the heart of everything, the heart of being human, the heart of our, you know, ancestral, whatever, the heart of this, you know, planet, the heart of everything. It's like the journey back towards the heart, like finding that love frequency.
Yeah, you're giving me chills, you know, just in a similar vein to what you're talking about, Charlie. For myself, and actually what you're talking about too, Heidi, I do want to do a family constellation on this. I don't know if you guys would be interested in participating in it. We could record it too. But for myself, as that spiritual healer, you know, I found solitude. My daughter was not welcome back to school because I refused to get her the childhood vaccines that caused her seizures, and felt like they were conspiring to murder my daughter, right? So, but she was not welcome back to school because I would not comply. And so I found school for her in the Christian community. But meanwhile, the Christian community thinks I'm blasphemous, right? Even though I'm sitting here and God will help me just like he helps them, you know, in my own family, there's people that think that I'm misguided, right? And maybe I am in some things, but I'm open to the right way. But if you're going to tell me that your revelation is different than me being psychic, when we're both getting information because you think yours is from the Holy Spirit, and I don't mind, it doesn't matter if it's from the higher self, if it's from God, if it's from the Holy Spirit, I can still discern between evil and good, just anyway. So I do want to do something, you know, because like you said to Patricia, you know, it's all a reflection. The outside is all a reflection on the inside, right? So if there's these patterns of people maybe misunderstanding me or misjudging me. What is it inside myself that's not settled? Is it a childhood wound of being, whatever it is? But I think it's also, it's within me, but then we also co-create reality. And so it's also out there. And so I do want to do kind of like a universal healing, if maybe you guys are interested in that at some point.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Sounds great.
Sounds awesome. Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, I was thinking we should finish up. I think it's been an awesome discussion, and I know we have a ton more to share, and I can't wait to meet with you guys again and share more. But in the meantime, I was hoping that at the end of every session, we could at least give people like maybe 1 to 3, and I'd say today 1, because we haven't even gotten into the healing work, which I think we will. But like, can we give people one takeaway of like this journey towards healing, and something that they can do or embody, or just a support or an inspiration that you want to give them?
Absolutely. I'll go first. I
Great.
would say it is just be gentle on yourself.
Mm.
Big component.
Yeah. So if I were to do a healing tip, if you're having symptoms of some sort, a lot of times we do want to push them away and get rid of them. And I'll even say something like get rid of them, but it really is about going into the darkness and looking at it and seeing what the wisdom is there, so that then it's integrated more than gotten rid of. But I would say something simple that people can do is to just send this part love. Right? Because it's some sort of a wound, whether it's ancestral or past life, but if you just send it love, I hear you, I feel you, I know that you have a need, it starts taking away the pressure of everything, and you can kind of sink into it, and that love is very healing. And same thing, so you can even send it light, right? Just imagine light going in. The power of imagery is so strong. And same thing, you can send your ancestors light, because our ancestors have been through so many traumas too. And it's just a simple way to just start getting healing right away, right now, without needing to know any other techniques. That's my 2 cents.
Oh, it's so beautiful. It's so similar to what I was going to say, which is that, thank you. I really like that. If you're having any kind of problems in your body, one of the things that I love to do is to talk to that pain and to say, I trust you, I love you, I welcome you, thank you. And that's so radical, to thank our pain. But really, I think the more that we can be in that humble willingness to receive it, it will bring its gifts to us. And I want to share also an idea from A Course in Miracles, which is my spiritual program of study. But it's this idea where you are, the body cannot even enter. So it's like, it's even takes it sort of one step further than, a lot of people say this is the meat suit, or this is, the vehicle that I've chosen, or, but I love this idea that where we really are, it's not about the body. So it's both a way of honoring the body with the, I trust you, I love you, I welcome you, thank you, honoring the body, but also knowing you're not the body. So that's my sharing on that.
Awesome.
All of them awesome, you guys. Everybody kind of made me feel a little teary, because it's so beautiful to like actually embrace healing. I love what I'm hearing. The only thing I'm going to add to it, one thing I do is to ask my spirit guides, my angels, the ancestors and beings that love me beyond all reason, for assistance, right? So anything, any kind of pain, any kind of healing, problems with traffic, like anything I'm going through, sometimes I forget, but when I remember and I say, hey, I'm struggling right now, I would like your help with this, and I give you permission to intervene into my physical reality with love, and get the help that I need. All right, you guys, awesome session. I love all of you so much. You're all such amazing healers. We're gonna keep this going. We're gonna do it again, and people are gonna share their websites. So Dr. Heidi, do you guys want to just go through and share your website?
Sure. I am my business. So I am Dr. Heidi Walrath .com. Look me up there. I'm on Instagram. Tons of pictures of my dogs. I'm on YouTube. I have a podcast on my website, blog, that kind of stuff. So We can even put like a little link. I
Does
can
the
post
chat
this
come up?
on, huh?
You put it in the chat. Does the chat record? Chat records so people can
Oh,
see?
does it? Okay. Yeah, I know
Oh.
my last name's weird. I can even put, like, when we put them up there, I can post it on my YouTube and then put everybody's website on there too. I have both my coaching and chiropractic on there.
Awesome. Yep. So ascensionpsychology.com is the best way to get in touch with me. And I'll type it out because I didn't realize that it was such a complicated word for people. And I put both of them, psychology too, when I first, being in the field for so long. I've been spelling psychology since middle school, but, not people that aren't in the field as much as me. It's not always as obvious, I guess.
And I'm Patricia Keeler at empoweredsensitivity.com. And you can follow me also on Instagram or Facebook if you're interested in seeing anything about my 57 days of clarity mission that I'm on. I'm posting daily there.
Awesome. And mine is alohiacupuncture.com. Currently, I'm going to be offering acupuncture, herbal medicine consults, and I am currently developing classes for intuitive energy meditation, organ healing meditation, and I'm gonna do like an 8-week health empowerment, health transformation class that is not yet there, but I'm working on it. So that'll be fun. And I will probably pilot that here in St. Petersburg, Florida, but then I will put that online as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, so Aloha Earth Medicine is my Instagram as well. I'll put that on here. All right, folks. Well, we can stop recording and then we'll look to meet up soon. Thank you, everybody.
To connect with you all. Charlie, thanks for putting this on.
Super awesome.
You
Can't
want to
wait for
stop
more.
and wrap up?
Yeah, so let's stop recording.